So here, where things begin for real, I want to welcome people to the course, and I want to welcome people on the first series of lectures with on the brain on neuroscience. And I want to begin this series of lectures and the course itself with a story about a man named Phineas Gage and an event that happened to Gage in the summer of 1848 in Cambridge, Vermont. So Gage was a blessing for men working on a railway construction projects, and his job at the time was to clear away rock so that they could lay down track, and also they what they he would bore a hole in the rocks. Inside the hole they put plastic powder and diffuse in that he would cover that up with dirt and the sand and take a templing iron which he carried with him. A big piece of steel looked like a javelin and used it to tamp down the sand and dirt so that later they could set the fuse and cause these explosions. Well, one day something didn't work. Nobody exactly sure why. Maybe he just forgot to put in the sand and the dirt. But regardless, he put the damping iron into the hole. The powder exploded. The damping iron shot away from his hand and went into his face. It entered the left side of Gage Jeff, moving in an upward direction. It passed behind the left eye to the left side of the brain and went out the top of his skull and length several feet away of the clutter. Now, miraculously, Gage wasn't killed on the spot. He lost consciousness for a little bit, but then stitches to his feet. And in some regards, Gage was very lucky. So he underwent a series of operations. He had infection. He got sick at times. His life was a risk. But months later, he was in certain regards pretty much recovered. He was able to see, he wasn't deaf, he wasn't paralyzed, he didn't lose the ability to speak or understand language, he didn't lose his intellectual capacities in any simple way. But in another sense, Gage was very unlucky, because Gage was being transformed by this insight. Someone who knew Gage described the transformation like this. Before the accident, Gage was quite the most efficient and agreeable man, a man of temperament, comfortable energy, of character, a sharp-dressed businessman. After the accident, Gage was no longer Gage. He has fitful errand, including at times in the crossing profanity, manifesting but little difference for his fellows. He ended up losing his job. He traveled through the stage, taking up different jobs, engaging in different relationships, and anomaly ended up in the exhibit in the traveling Curtis, holding a tempting iron and telling people about this terrible story about how it went through his head and went through his brain. So why I'm telling this story? Well, I said I want to uh, begin the course by talking about the brain and the story of Phineas Gage illustrating something which we have a burden reason to believe, which in the brain to the core source of mental life, and so damage to the brain can have profound effects of who we are and what we are. One idea is nicely summarized by the Nobel Prize-winning biologist Francis Crick. He calls it astonishing hypothesis. As he writes, the astonishing hypothesis is that your joys and your sorrows, so your memories And your abilities, your sense of personal identity and free will are in fact no more than the behaviors on the vast assembly of nerve cells and the cerebral molecules. Now this assembly or nerve cells is of course the brain and parts of the spinal cord, but we're going to talk about the brain here. And the idea then, and sometimes people like to put in the mind is the brain of that the mind is what the brain does of the mental life emerges from the brain. The official terms of this is a materialism, that the materialism believes everybody accepts that our arms and legs and our heart and kidneys and made of the same short stuff as rabbits and automobiles and cars. But the idea is that of mental life, what makes us special and most intimate feelings and truths also arise from the material things.